Welcome back to Mahabharata, Echoes of Eternity. In this episode, we journey into one of the most intriguing moments in the Mahabharata, Yaksha's test. Here, we witness Yudhishthira, the eldest of the Pandavas, facing an unusual and perplexing challenge that tests not only his intellect but also his moral and ethical principles. This episode marks a significant point in the Pandavas' exile, one that demonstrates the strength of wisdom and virtue over physical might. It is here that we see the true essence of Yudhishthira as a leader, and why he is often revered as the embodiment of Dharma. After the great insult of Draupadi's disrobing and the subsequent game of dice that led to their exile, the Pandavas find themselves in the forests. They are on a journey of spiritual growth, facing the challenges of their exile, but also enduring severe hardships. In the midst of this, they encounter the mystical and spiritual realm of the forest, which presents them with yet another trial, an encounter that would test their very souls. During their time in exile, the Pandavas come across a sacred lake in the forest. This lake, known for its pristine beauty, is said to be filled with both divine and earthly powers. The water of this lake is said to have the ability to grant boons and wisdom, but only for those who are worthy. Little do they know, the serene lake hides a daunting test designed by the supernatural force of a Yaksha. One day, as the Pandavas are wandering the forest in search of water, they come across this mystical lake. Thirsty, they approach it, only to find a strange sight, a majestic and powerful Yaksha, a celestial being, guarding the lake. The Yaksha warns them not to drink from the lake's water unless they are able to answer his questions. He explains that the one who cannot answer his questions will suffer the consequences. The Pandavas, desperate to quench their thirst, agree to the challenge. However, one by one, each of the Pandavas, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadeva, approach the lake and fall prey to the Yaksha's questions, failing to answer them correctly. As a result, each of them collapses to the ground, unconscious. Yudhishthira, the eldest of the Pandavas, comes last. He approaches the lake cautiously, only to find his brothers lying on the ground. Seeing them incapacitated, he is filled with concern but does not rush to act. He knows that this is no ordinary test and that it requires not just physical strength, but wisdom and virtue to overcome. The Yaksha, seeing that Yudhishthira remains calm and composed, calls out to him. He informs Yudhishthira that, like his brothers, he must answer his questions or face the same fate. Yudhishthira agrees, acknowledging that this is a test of his wisdom and virtue. The Yaksha then begins to ask him a series of profound and difficult questions, many of which relate to concepts of dharma, morality, and life itself. The first question the Yaksha asks is, "What is the most surprising thing in the world?" Yudhishthira's answer is thoughtful and profound. The most surprising thing is that, every day, people see others die around them, yet they believe that they will never die. The Yaksha nods, impressed with Yudhishthira's insight. But the questions continue, each one more challenging than the last. They touch upon life, death, relationships, and the nature of the soul. Yet, through each query, Yudhishthira responds with calmness, wisdom, and moral clarity. He speaks of truth, justice, the importance of knowledge, and the impermanence of life. He answers with the knowledge of a ruler who is not just concerned with victory, but with the well-being of his people. Finally, after answering the last of the Yaksha's questions, Yudhishthira has proven himself to be a true embodiment of Dharma, one who understands the deeper truths of existence and the moral responsibilities that come with leadership. The Yaksha, who is revealed to be the board of Yama, the Lord of Death, is deeply impressed by Yudhishthira's answers. Yudhishthira's wisdom has allowed him to pass the test, and the Yaksha grants him a blessing. In a final act of compassion, the Yaksha revives Yudhishthira's brothers, who had been rendered unconscious by their failure to answer the questions. Not only that, but the Yaksha reveals that he had been testing Yudhishthira's worthiness to rule, and that his wisdom and righteousness made him the true heir to the throne of Hastinapur. Yudhishthira had passed the test, not just through his intellect, but through his virtue and understanding of the higher truths of life. The Yaksha's test is a pivotal moment in the Mahabharata, for it highlights the true nature of Dharma, the importance of wisdom, and the balance between material and spiritual life. Yudhishthira's responses reflect a deep understanding of the world and the principles that govern it. He proves that wisdom, rather than strength or brute force, is the key to overcoming life's greatest challenges. This episode also emphasizes that the journey of the Pandavas in exile was not only about suffering and loss, but about growth and spiritual development. In facing this divine test, Yudhishthira not only saves his brothers but also demonstrates the qualities that make him a worthy leader, qualities that will prove essential when the time comes for the Pandavas to reclaim their kingdom. The story of Yudhishthira's wisdom in the face of Yaksha's test is one of the most memorable moments in the Mahabharata. It teaches us that in times of adversity, it is not physical strength that wins, but wisdom, clarity, and a deep understanding of what is right. Yudhishthira's ability to answer the Yaksha's questions with profound answers rooted in Dharma elevates him as the true ruler of the Kuru dynasty. His calm composure and moral clarity are the foundation of his leadership, a leadership that would ultimately guide the Pandavas in their return to Hastinapur. Thank you for listening to this episode of Mahabharata, Echoes of Eternity. Stay tuned as we continue to explore the timeless wisdom and lessons from this great epic.